The Fort Worth trio case is a scary one, mainly because it lacks answers to some very basic and fundamental questions. It's a mystery that doesn't add up, no matter how many angles you view it from, where three girls went shopping at the mall one day and then just vanished. There's no clues, no real suspects. It involves a handwritten note from one of them that feels off. And so, what makes this case particularly chilling and why we're covering it is not just the disappearance of three women, but the eerie circumstances around the entire case. And this is the true crime story of the missing Fort Worth trio. It was the height of the Christmas season back in 1974. Time meant for joy and celebration. The houses in Fort Worth, Texas were adorned with seasonal lights and decorations. And at a time well before people just ordered their gifts online, the stores and shopping centers were filled to the brim with people. It was Monday, December 23rd. There was some last-minute shopping to get done. And back then, friends and neighbors were more tight-knit than they are today. There wasn't tons to do in terms of staying entertained inside the house. No internet, no video games, just a couple channels on the TV, so if ever there was an opportunity to get out to, say, go shopping at a mall, well, everyone wanted in. 17-year-old Mary Rachel Talicka was the oldest of the trio that day. She commonly went by her middle name Rachel. Even though she was still in high school, she recently got married to her husband Tommy. She would be the one with the car that would get the girls to their destination. It was a 1972 Oldsmobile 98. Her friend and neighbor was 14-year-old Lisa Renee Wilson, who also was known to family and friends by her middle name. That morning, Renee was excited to have received a nice promise ring from her boyfriend, 15-year-old Terry, whose family lived across the street from her. She was excited to get out to the Seminary South shopping mall, which nowadays, if you live in the area, you know this place as the La Grande Plaza de Fort Worth. Now, Terry had a sister, Julie. She would be the one who completed the three. Originally, Terry was supposed to go, but he didn't want to deal with the crowds that day. While his sister was only 9 years old, she begged to tag along because she didn't have anything else to do and didn't want to spend the day alone without anybody to play with. The girls told her to ask her mom, Ray Ann, for permission, and so Julie went inside and asked. At first, her mom told her no. And she knew Renee, of course, and her mother well, but didn't know Rachel all that much, and she was so much older. And plus, Julie didn't have any money, so what was the point? But of course, Julie kept begging. And at that moment in time, Ray Ann and her husband were separated, maybe feeling a little guilt from that around the holiday season. Eventually, she just gave in. And the girls had planned to be back by 4 p.m. at the latest because Renee had a Christmas party she needed to get ready for that evening. So that was it. The trio set out on a bright, chilly morning. They hopped on into that Oldsmobile and drove off. They first made a quick stop by an Army surplus store to pick up some jeans that Renee had been meaning to pick up before heading to the bustling Seminary South shopping center. And witnesses, to which there were many, later reported seeing the girls inside the mall shopping and enjoying the day. There was certainly no problems that were apparent. There was not anybody else with them, and they were smiling and in good spirits. But other than these sporadic witness accounts, no one seemed to see anything. But the girls would never leave that parking lot, at least not in Rachel's Oldsmobile. By the time 6 p.m. arrived and they still hadn't returned home, their families grew worried. Not only had 9-year-old Julie been gone for almost 7 hours at this point, but Renee was going to miss the party, one she was dying to go to. Some family members cruised around the mall. That's when they found Rachel's car parked in the Sears upper-level parking lot. There was a brief moment of relief. They could check off some boxes in their heads. The girls weren't in an accident. They didn't run away together. And they would have thought that maybe they were still inside. However, the car was filled with items and bags from the mall. And so it appeared they had come out and then, well, nobody knew. They hung around the car, waiting for the girls to return. Maybe they ran back inside, but after a couple hours, they called the police, who, with it being the holidays and all, and not looking really to work too hard, told them that they were probably runaways, and that was kind of it. There were no cop cars coming to the parking lot to rescue anybody. And all night, family hung around the car without a single sighting of the girls. The following day, though, a sort of glimmer of hope emerged in the form of a letter. Written by Rachel for her husband Tommy to explain the situation, it simply read, "I know I'm going to catch it, but we had to get away. We're going to Houston. See you in about a week. The car is in Sears' upper lot. Love, Rachel." The letter's tone and message was strange, to say the least. According to the police, though, it wasn't alarming, though it also wasn't really reassuring. For the families of the trio, well, this whole thing was wrong, and they didn't think Rachel wrote this piece at all. Beyond the fact that there were no squabbles or ongoing fights happening, and Rachel wasn't mad at Tommy for anything. They were only married 6 months at this point, still in the honeymoon stage. And Julie wasn't angry with her mom or brother. There was none of that. It was quite the contrary, with all of them looking forward to spending Christmas with their loved ones. Like families do. On top of that, these three weren't related. It wasn't like three sisters had made a pact to run away from an abusive household. And they were friends and friendly, but Julie was just 9 years old. And surely the older girls knew it might be a problem to just take her off to Houston. The letter itself was peculiar for several other reasons as well. It was addressed to Thomas A. Talika instead of the familiar Tommy that Rachel would have used. The postmark was blurred, didn't have the name of a city, likely done intentionally to avoid being traced. The note itself was written in ink, while the address on the envelope was in pencil. The most strange of all was that the signature at the bottom, written in cursive, said, "Love, Rachel." Only the L had originally been an E, and then written over again. So Rachel messed up her own name, apparently. And to that, you just have to ask yourself, when was the last time you misspelled your own name? Handwriting experts have analyzed the letter over the years since, but the results remain inconclusive. But no one who knew the girls, especially Tommy, believes his wife actually wrote it. Julie's mother, Ray Ann, was adamant with the police, saying, "I know my daughter, I know those other girls, and they are not runaways." Judy Wilson, Renee's mother, echoed this sentiment, insisting that no 9-year-old would run away just days before Christmas. And Frances Langston, Rachel's mother, believed the girls had been abducted, saying, "A lot of people may think they left with someone they knew, but I'll always think, until the day I die, the girls were taken." Because the police were fumbling the case, Private Detective John Swain was hired by the families, and he explored various leads. The car itself provided no clues as far as 1974 standards. There was no sign of a struggle or anything out of place. While the families distributed flyers all around, he investigated a 28-year-old man who had worked in the mall, who was known to be making some obscene phone calls to young women in the area and using his position to gather information about those he called after they had submitted job applications. Though, while he was certainly pretty creepy, well, nothing concrete emerged from that. In April of 1975, Swaim organized a search in Port Lavaca, Texas, based on a tip the girls had been killed and buried there. And along with 100 volunteers, they searched the woods and fields, but no trace of the girls were found. His untimely death in 1979, followed by the destruction of his case files, was a significant blow to the investigation. And over the years, various witnesses have come forward with potential sightings and information. Things like a store clerk who recalled witnessing 3 girls being forced into a yellow pickup truck near the mall, but This lead was never verified. In 1981, a man reported seeing a girl being forced into a van that day, but this too went cold. In 2001, former Fort Worth police officer Bill Hutchins claimed he saw the girls with a security guard on the night they disappeared. This is almost 30 years later, so good luck following that lead. The prevailing theory at this point is that the trio left that mall with somebody they knew or at least trusted, that they willingly got into another car, which could have been for a multitude of reasons. After that, who knows what really happened, but it probably wasn't good. Investigators periodically review this case and evidence, hoping new techniques might yield something new. In 2018, 2 cars were raised from the Benbrook Lake, thought to be connected to the case, but this search yielded no new information, and that's how it's always gone here. Still to this day, the families of Rachel, Renee, and Julie have never given up hope. They continue to advocate not just for this case, but for many others all across America that have fallen to the wayside. If nothing else, they look to remind police that they have a job to do, an important one that cannot be ignored, even if it is Christmas, the 4th of July, or any other holiday vacation. And so there was the disappearance of the Fort Worth trio, and thanks for tuning in. If you want more content like this, remember to subscribe and hit the bell. You know when we're putting out our new content, it's 3 new episodes every single week. Thanks so much for stopping by. I'll see you all in the next one.